Hi, everybody. Erica here from In the Company of Cards with a couple of viewer questions and a couple of questions of my own. Welcome. If you're new, welcome back. If you've been here for a bit, please do like, share, subscribe. This is a channel where I use Lenormand, however you want to say it. Uh, this is how you spell it. It's probably backwards on your screen, Lenormand, and it is a European 36 card deck that helps us look at things that are coming in uh, for all of us. So there are a couple of questions that I have of my own, a couple of viewer questions that I thought I would look at. So the first couple of questions that I thought I would look at are viewer questions that I'm pretty sure we know the answer to, but I'm happy to use the cards to look at them. The first one has to do with Russia, and we will be coming back to Russia during this particular broadcast. But for now, uh, I had a viewer who said that um, Russia is putting up a military building on its border with Finland, and they wanted to know what that was about. Well, I mean, what do you think it's about? Russia would like to take possession of any land that borders it and beyond, right? So, that's what it's about. But let's look. Why is that? What is Russia up to with building that military building um, on the border, on their border with Finland? Well, let Spirit pick all the cards. What is Russia up to? I mean, it's obvious, right? It's a hostile move, uh, which is kind of indirect and nebulous with this book card here. Yes, we mean you no good, and you don't know why, and you won't know why until we decide that it's time for you to know why. Um, the key here is the second card, and that's always sort of the answer. Here we again have this bellicose young man. It's like a beating your chest kind of a move. That's what they're doing. The card in the center is the whip, and the whip is about hostility and arguments, among other things. So it's just it's a hostile move to let Finland know, hey, we're over here. We'd love to possess you like we want to possess everybody. That's what it's for. So, the viewer said that she had a son who had moved there to Finland. Should he be worried? Well, I mean, yes, of course, because Russia is their neighbor. Okay. Another viewer question that I think we already know the answer to. This has to do with articles of impeachment that were presented by AOC. These articles of impeachment, for once, are not about 47, 45, whatever you want to call him. They are about Alito, Judge Alito, and Justice Alito, and Justice Thomas. And the question from the viewer was, will anything come from these articles of impeachment? I'm going to say we all know the answer to that also, which is no, because because the Republicans control everything. So why would these articles of impeachment go forward? It's good to have them. It's good to have them put on the record, of course, but will anything come of them? So we'll use the letter. and they will stand for the articles of impeachment against Justice Alito and Justice Thomas, brought forward by brought forward by AOC. Okay, so we're looking for the letter. Will anything come of these articles of impeachment? I mean, certainly not before 2026. Uh, and that assumes that the House and the Senate will flip. So these are the articles of impeachment. Okay, so we have the star, we have the tower, we have the letter, we have the older woman, and we have the scales. So I'll put them back down, but then I'll pick them up to talk about them. And I did, as you saw, I drew some clarifiers, not on all of them, but on some of them. So in the future, this is the star. In the future, when the scales of justice get tipped back the way they should be, something could come of them, but not until then. So we're talking about post uh, 2026 or post 2028 even. Um, Second card being the government, mirrored by this card. Now, AOC is still a young woman, but she has the power and gravitas of an older woman. So in government, and I think she is going places in government. So that's why she shows up. So in the center, we had the articles of impeachment. And these articles are for, among other things, financial impropriety. Remember that fish is a card for money. Um, and then the other clarifiers are the cross and the clouds. So whether Alito and Thomas feel the pain of this anytime soon is in doubt. Clouds, in doubt. Um, I pulled clarifiers on AOC, and we have birds, child, and whip. You know, AOC knows that nothing can happen before the 2026 midterms, but she can certainly stoke the fires, keep the buzz going about how corrupt these two justices are. Entertainment purposes only and allegedly. So, you know, this is just a small little thing to keep the pot stirred. And then finally, we have the scales card, and the clarifiers are the dog, the heart, and the garden. I think in the end, uh, again, justice will become sort of tilted back in its proper way. Um, the lawyers will see to that. And I think that for the good of the people, these justices do need to go. And the people will decide that that's the case. Here's the people. Here's the star I can mirror it with. That's our first card. So I think you know, it's like putting something in the freezer, these articles of impeachment. Let's draw them up, make sure they are correct in all of the way that they're articulated, these articles, and then let's put them in the freezer for the future when eventually they'll be able to come out and the people will be ready and they can move forward with these articles of impeachment. Because remember, these justices serve for life. So, and they've got a pretty sweet deal, so they're not going to want to go anywhere. But I think if we take the House and the Senate, that those articles of impeachment will indeed be dusted off and activated. Okay. Another question was about something I've actually not mentioned, although I definitely gave a whoop of delight when it happened. Um, Remember Nottaway Plantation? This is the plantation in Louisiana that had been used as a venue for weddings and other events. And if you were to go to Nottaway Plantation, you would hear they have docents or guides who walk you through and explain everything to you. And in this at this particular plantation, the party line was that it was a great place to work, and the workers loved what they did and were very happy and were very well treated. Anyway, as you know, it burned to the ground. It's hard for me not to say that with a smile. But anyway, uh, the owner of it is a relatively new owner, and he has said that his intention is to rebuild it. Because, it was a moneymaker for him. And so the viewer question was, will Nottaway Plantation be rebuilt? So what we'll do is we'll use the house for that card, and we want to know whether that plantation will be rebuilt. And I think what the viewer's asking is, rebuilt and but purposed for the same ends, meaning as a wedding venue, as an event venue, as a very sort of sanitized Disney version of what slavery was like and plantation life was like. Will it be resurrected in that way? Listen, wouldn't surprise me if who did not say, here's a few $1 million towards that end. You know, he's a champion of the sweet sunny South, right? So let's see what's going to happen with that burn to the ground plantation. Oh, and it's the bottom of the deck. I always check to see if the card I'm looking for is at the bottom of the deck. Again, 9 times out of 10, it's not there, but once in a while it is. You saw that pop up the other day for me, and here we have, again, the card that I'm looking for pops up. Now, because it's at the bottom of the deck, that means it's the last card. And that means that the cards going to come before are directly before it. So let's see what we get. Okay. So we have the coffin, the crossroads, the older man, the whip, and the house. And you know what? I feel like it's kind of like what I said. I feel like the owner will say to who, listen, this was a national landmark and the pride of the white South. So can you help a brother out and give me some money towards rebuilding it? I mean, this card is as much resurrection as it is death. And Crossroads is about choices. He has said he wants to rebuild it. This is who poking his nose in there. And then we have this whip just wanting to stir people up, wanting to rage bait us, Black people. And there's the house itself. So I can mirror these two. Again, this is the card for transformation. I think it could be uh, not die and just stay ashes, but I think it could very well be rebuilt. Yeah. Uh, I think that this would be a calculated choice on the part of who, just like a lot of things he does are calculated to, again, rage bait us. Here's the rage bait card, a whip, something historically used against us. And then we've got him. So yeah, don't be surprised if he doesn't say this is a national landmark and we don't have money for FEMA, or we have money, but we took it away from FEMA and we're going to give it to this guy so he can rebuild that plantation. Let's pull some clarifiers just to see. Okay, here's what I think. So on the coffin, which I think is this idea of transformation and resurrection of this plantation, here's like the decree saying that it was a national landmark, or maybe this is the request from the owner to the president saying, listen, help me out so I can rebuild this thing. Be my friend, be a friend to the sweet sunny South, the white South. Um, you know, it's the right thing to do. So I think that appeal will be made to him. Uh, Crossroads, this is about choices. And the clarifiers are clouds, child, and woman. I mean, it burned down, I mean, for a reason. They don't know the origin of the fire. The fire department's not been able to ascertain that. But, to make a choice to rebuild it, I'm pretty sure that the guy has not had any kind of come to Jesus moment where he says, yeah, we're going to rebuild it, but we're going to do like some of these other plantations do, where we're going to tell the real story and we're not going to whitewash it and sweet talk it. And we're not going to have weddings and events. No, he wants his weddings and events. And he does want a whitewashed version of what life on that plantation was about. But I don't know. Is that a good idea? Clouds. It certainly is, again, juvenile baiting. Not sure who this woman is, because I know it's a man who owns it. Um, Women worked there as, again, docents and people who show people around and wedding planners and things like that. Okay, here we have you know who, right in the center. Birds. Remember, this is the card for um, publicity and advertising and announcements and messaging and talk, conversation. So it would be a bullying kind of a move. This is that yang energy, that young, aggressive energy. And we have clover, hasty. So I think that 47 will be appealed to. He might even think of it on his own and say, yeah, let's rebuild that plantation. It'll be a big FU to Black people. Fourth card is the whip. The clarifiers are the heart, the star, and the bouquet. Again, he would love to resurrect this version of the South all over the country, you know? So this would be a gift to them. Here we've got the house itself, the plantation itself. If that does move forward, if that does happen, and there are plans made to rebuild this house to move forward with these plans, that's what the ship is moving forward. It's going to cause a problem for people. I mean, we have not risen to the bait, the rage bait that's been thrown our way, but it's going to be a hot summer. Anything can happen. I would advise that they not rebuild it for that purpose. I advise that they not rebuild it at all. But I think yes, I think he will try. I think he will try to get federal money to rebuild it, saying it's a national landmark and part of the South's history, and he's just trying to preserve the South's history. And I think 47 will find that a cause that is dear to his heart, that he will want our tax dollars to support. So don't be surprised if that plantation doesn't go up again. And by the way, don't be surprised if that plantation does not then go up again in flames. Entertainment purposes only, just saying. Okay. Couple more things. So tonight apparently here in California, Starlink will be, or SpaceX, whatever, will be launching something. Uh, they're going to launch some kind of ship that's got 24 satellites in it that are supposed to go into orbit. Remember, this is Musk's baby, and that his goal is to make us a, you know, biplanetary species, meaning that, we colonize Mars. I am all for that. I think he should go and take all those children and they can breed with each other and colonize Mars. Go ahead. Anyway, he has tried apparently twice to launch these satellites, and both times has been met with disaster. The thing blew up before it took off or whatever. And so I just would like to know the how the launch will go. Is the third time the charm? I think instead of stars, because even though we're talking about stars and planets and all that, I'll use the ship because the ship is any kind of conveyance. And so this ship will be the thing that's carrying the satellites. It's called Starlink, SpaceX Falcon, SpaceX Falcon, Starlink 17-1. How will that mission go tonight? And we're going to use the ship. How will Mush's launch go tonight? Okay, so this stands for SpaceX Falcon Starlink 17-1. This mission. How is it going to go tonight? Okay, so we have the Lily child. This is the spaceship, the anchor, and the fox. So let's see. And I pulled clarifiers on the ship, I pulled clarifiers on the anchor, and I pulled clarifiers on the fox. So, you know, he's acting as though he's quite kind of chill about what happens with this. The whole concept is a little cartoonish and juvenile. And remember, he doesn't know the science. He just puts the money in, and other people figure out the science of things. So he's just like a kid with a toy. Um, and if it doesn't work, uh, oops, as he said with the last time that it didn't work, he said, "Oh, satellites are hard." So this is the voyage of this SpaceX Falcon. And the clarifiers for it are the coffin, the tree, and the scales. I don't know. I think they've definitely made some improvements since the last two blow-ups. And the thing may be more balanced, whatever that means. I mean, I don't know about aerodynamic space stuff, but I think they've fixed whatever the glitches were. Then we have the anchor and we have the fish, the mountain, and then the letter. I think he's being still too hasty with this. He's got the money to throw around. That's fish. He is committed to this project. Um, Anchor is like this is sort of a thing that he's got in his head that he wants to do, colonize space. And this is a step towards that. So he's not going to change his mind about that. He's sort of stuck on stupid in that regard, all the money in the world. But, he doesn't have all the time in the world. And so he's not taking time. He's not taking the time that he should take for these, the blueprints for this mission to have been completely ironed out. Uh, but, he's got a lot of experts in his pocket, and they probably will get lucky. Riders about whatever message comes through, and the message is going to be, look, we got lucky, we're one step closer. And then we have the scythe. Now, a scythe is the card for a decision, but a scythe also cuts. So energy is mutable, things can turn on a dime. I'm just going to draw a clarifying card for the scythe. And that's, in other words, is this thing going to be a disaster? Because this could be the card for that. Or is it sort of his decision to stick with it pays off? So I don't know. Let's see. I'm just going to draw a clarifier. What does that scythe mean, please? That's not helpful. The book. Books about things we don't know. The tower on the garden. I don't know. I think there's a lot of things he doesn't know. I think he has kind of a very immature way of looking at inventions. I mean, all you have to do is see those really ugly Tesla cars that look like there's something out of a cartoon. My instinct is telling me that the thing will go off without a hitch, that this particular mission will go the way it needs to go. Um, he'll be happy. Whether his ultimate goal is something that ever can be realized is a different question entirely. So he'll spend these millions and billions to do this launch. I think it'll be probably successful in that it won't explode on, you know, when they push the button for it to go. I think it won't, I think that won't happen. I think it'll do what it's supposed to do. But whether that advances the cause of colonization of space, not convinced. Okay. And then finally, so the cyber hacking group Anonymous. They are an international organization, um, sort of unfederated. So there's pockets of them, and they wear those weird masks. Well, they have made a new announcement. Now, the announcement that they made prior to the one I'm about to tell you about is something that actually did come true. So these are, I mean, they're kind of like Robin Hood type people. Um, so the most recent thing that they did prior to the one I'm going to tell you about in a second is that they were able to hack into the manifest of the airline that was deporting the Venezuelans. Remember that? Uh, they got the names of all of them and where it was going and all of that because they hacked into the this particular airline's system. And this particular airline, um, I mean, their big claim to fame is that they are going to be, your sort of one-stop shop for deportment vehicles in the air. So we were able to find out a lot about exactly who was on those planes and where they were taken and all of that. That was thanks to Anonymous. Okay. So that was in April or May. April, I guess they did that. Well, they've made another announcement. Now, as all of their announcements are in advance, they're very kind of cryptic. Like, What are they saying exactly? But apparently they made this huge announcement and they said it will happen in now 37 days. Well, I did the math, and that takes us to July 4th. And the implication is that this will be some huge bombshell that will wake everybody up, meaning to whatever degree you've believed in you know who and thought that his motivations were pure as the driven snow, um, you will be disabused of that perception uh, once Anonymous makes its announcement. So, I mean, it feels very much like it could be campaign oriented. In other words, we know that the election was hacked, and here's who did it, and here's how they did it. We know, they might say, who the foreign actors were who were participants in this hacking of our election. We know which members of Congress, entertainment purposes only, were complicit in the hacking of the election. Uh, I feel like it's something like that, but I don't know. But they did say it was going to be just head spinning, that there would be no way to ignore anymore what's going on in terms of corruption and how wide scale it is, entertainment purposes only. So we just, and I mean, July 4th is kind of a important day to make this announcement, right? So I don't know about you, but I have a countdown calendar on my phone, and with important dates that I like to watch the days go up or down. It's called day count. And so I have the big reveal from Anonymous now on my day count app. We have 37 days until the 4th of July. We also have 524 days till the midterm elections, in case anybody was interested. We have 65 days till this channel's 1 year anniversary. So those are just some of the things I keep track of. And I mean, the 4th of July, right? That's the nation's birthday. So I think the announcement that they will make will be way bigger than we have the names on the aircraft manifest of the people who were deported. I think it's going to be way more of an earth-shaking revelation than that. So let's ask the cards. I mean, I don't know what they're going to say, but let's ask the cards what will be in the announcement that Anonymous is going to make on or around July 4th, that will shake us to our core. I feel like it's some big expose, not sure what. Okay, let's just see. We'll pull five. What does Anonymous plan to announce on July 4th? Interesting, but I am definitely going to pull a clarifier or two. We have the clouds. Interesting, though, followed by the sun. So whatever has been to date hidden from us will now be shown to us. I mean, can you get any clearer? Middle card is the child, the ship, and the snake. So again, something that's been hidden from the public view will be exposed. Uh, I'm going to pull clarifiers on the child. The child is something. new, and it can be the beginning of something. So I don't know, they might do like a rollout. Like today we'll tell you this, or we're gonna roll something out every hour until the whole thing is exposed. I don't know, but hard to know what this is. Something new. Uh, that will cause us moving forward to realize, Houston, we have a problem. And we do have a problem because the clouds and the snake mirror each other. It is problematic that there are things that have been hidden from us. And I do feel like it's about the election, but I don't know. That's just me saying that. Um, However, I like the fact that the sun is here and that I can mirror it with the ship because I feel like there are certain things that we're going to have to experience and understand and reconcile ourselves and come to terms on in order for us to move forward. And I also think that, as I've said many times, we can't just skip the hard part. What will we be moving towards here? Not so much the New Jerusalem yet. First, we have to make our way through the snake, and the snake is a problem. So let's look further, shall we? I think whatever they do have is going to be a bombshell. So we know some things have been hidden from us. That's clouds that will be revealed. And I'm going to pull clarifiers on the last three cards. Okay. So, it could like be a thing. I keep looking at this card and it tends to be not just something new, but something small. So it could be just enough to crack a door open. But then we're all going to want to know, wait a minute, open that door wider because we want to know what's behind that door. So I think whatever they have will crack the door open. And then we have the ring, the book, and the coffin. So they crack the door open for us. And this is a card about a cycle. In other words, I don't think that what happened with this election was like a one and done kind of thing. I think something was set in motion that has something cyclical about it, meaning that something was put in place that will be hard to get out of place. There's something's been put in place that we don't know about that will have changed the nature of elections in this country. I mean, it's a very good question to ask. Will we ever have free and fair elections? But the coffin is the card for transformation. It's also, though, the card, it's a box, it's a coffin, right? So is there a way that whatever was done, you know, in ways that we're not aware of, including whatever would happen in space, by the way, with satellites, speaking of satellites, that we weren't privy to, that just has transformed what elections, what having an election means in this country. Is that what we're going to find out? That there's some mechanism that was put in place with the intention of keeping it in place for all time. Now, here's the ship. This is the ship of state moving forward, etc. Clarifiers are really good. The star, scales, and the letter. this definitely, I feel, I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't know. But I think this is election interference related because this is the fairness of the votes. And I'm sure that, Anonymous's intention is for us to have free and fair elections, obviously, in the future, right? So, but we still have, we have to contend with this snake. This is bad deeds, nefarious actions. Remember that it mirrors the clouds. What dirt was done that we are not aware of? Well, I pulled clarifiers for the snake. The house, the cross, and then the birds. I suspect whatever Anonymous comes up with, it will cause a lot of pain for you know who in his White House and government in general, because I don't think it's just people in the White House. Who in Congress was complicit? But it's also going to create a lot of buzz, which of course is what Anonymous tries to do. This is buzz. I can I can mirror our first card clouds with this buzz. Is what they announced going to create more confusion than clarity? I don't know. I do want to remind you that these clouds are followed by the card of clarity, the sun. But imagine if they were to show us something, uncover something that creates buzz, and have people who are rah, 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 MAGA, MAGA, MAGA have to say to themselves, wait a minute, what? Like they're saying all over the country, right? Like, I own a farm. I didn't think you were going to take my farm workers. Or like, I voted for you. And I mean, okay, I'm not legal, but I've been here for 30 years. What do you mean you're deporting me? Right? A lot of people are having buyer's remorse. I think this will create more buyer's remorse. Now that just creates more foot soldiers for the metaphorical revolution that I'm talking about that's coming. So I'm not mad. But I am suggesting that you mark your calendars. They're probably already marked because it's the 4th of July, but that is 37 days from now. And that is when Anonymous says that they are going to make an announcement that will just really shake us to the core, make us wake up, even those people who don't want to wake up. Uh, if you just Google the anonymous statement, you can hear what they say. Again, it's enigmatic, but I think it's related to election interference and exactly what happened. All right, one more thing I thought I would look at, and this is the relationship between Putin and 47. Now, we all know that 47 said that he would end the war between Russia and Ukraine in a day or a week or whatever he said. Well, now we are, 110, 120, however many days past his inauguration, and things are not good over there. I read, I think yesterday on Ukraine, and I was pleasantly startled to see that they are in 3 months going to be holding their own. I'm not saying a war will be over because I don't think it will be, but they will be holding their own. They will not be crushed under the boot of Russia, which is having all kinds of issues. I think Putin is having financial problems. So I guess that's the first thing I'd like to look at. Does does Putin have the money that he needs to continue prosecuting this war, pursuing this war, engaging in this war? Does he have the money? Because I mean, does he have the manpower? They had to go to North Korea for soldiers, so that doesn't look too good. I think he's run out of money. And I think that sources where he could get it from have dried up. But I'm going to look for fish, and this will stand for Putin's finances. How is Putin fixed for cash in the financing of this war? Okay, here's our card for cash. Yep, I knew it. 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 Cross, whip, fish for cash, book, snake. He is hurting. He is flailing around. He doesn't know where to get the money from, doesn't know. And that's a problem for him. Oh. Now, good. All right, that answers that question, that Russia is hurting for money. Okay. Not to mention, there's a lot of people out to get him. So, we already have seen many times in my readings that he's paranoid that, people are out to get him. But now there's this thing between him and 47. And we know that 47 thought that his just the strength of his personality would would bring Putin to his side. And that Putin would, he'd probably say something to Putin like, listen, you and I we could win a joint Nobel Peace Prize, kind of like Arafat of the PLO and Sadat of Egypt way back in the day, if you're old enough to remember that they won the Peace Prize with Jimmy Carter. So it was the three of them. And we know that 47 has visions of Nobel Peace Prizes in his head. Uh, but Putin is he is hurting for money, and he is afraid of his own people with reason. I mean, justifiable on all counts. Um, but he certainly is not going to bend to the will of you know who. Uh, and also, entertainment purposes only. There's a lot of speculation that he's got some dirt on our leader. And our leader's got to know that. So, what's going to happen with these two men? Currently, the way that it stands is that 47 is really mad. I said yesterday, he said that he called Putin crazy. And in response, the Kremlin said something like, "Oh, he's very emotional," meaning 47 is very emotional. Now, when they said that, it wasn't really so much of a dig as it is sort of this attempt to kind of cool things down between them. Um, but it's no more of a compliment to be called emotional if you're a world leader than it is to be called crazy. So in some ways that, those two words, crazy and emotional, are them flinging grenades at each other. Uh, we know there's no love lost between Zelensky and 47 because Zelensky won't kiss the ring. Uh, our guy has kissed the ring of Putin, and now he wants Putin to kiss his ring. So I think I'm going to let Spirit figure this out. What is going to happen with these two men, Putin and you know who? Because they seem to be at an impasse. Again, we've just saw through the cards that Putin needs money. You know who is raking it in hand over fist, but the Saudis don't like Putin, so they can't get money from them. So let's see what's going to happen between these two men. Well, we have the young woman, the whip, star, the book, the older woman. I mean, I think that the compromat has to do with indiscretion on the part of 47 that may or may not have to do with women. And I'm just going to say, what's the opposite of women? I'm going to leave that alone. But I think Putin has compromat on 47. Interesting that these two cards flank the reading. It just makes me feel like we're talking about some sort of, you know what, indiscretions that don't necessarily involve women. These are arguments, which of course the two men are calling each other names, so that works. Um, we're not sure what the outcome of it will be because of the book. There's also things that are hidden. There is compromise. That's what I mean. Information that Putin has on 47 that we don't have. It's being hidden from us. And in the center, we have the star. I'm going to pull some clarifiers. Okay, so I said indiscretions, and I said I don't think they necessarily involve women because we know what all kinds of things that 47's done with women. And I don't even have to say entertainment purposes and allegedly, because we know. But I'm saying it doesn't necessarily have to do with women. What's the opposite of women? Okay. Clarifiers, the coffin, the fish, and the mice. Whatever Putin has on you know who, he's terrified. He needs it kept sealed up. He'll even pay to have it sealed up because he's terrified of being found out. 47. Mm. Next card is the whip, and the clarifiers are the garden, crossroads, and the key. So here they're arguing in public, and a decision's going to need to be made. This is about choices, and each man is going to want to make the choice that gives him the upper hand. Okay, we have the star in the center, clarifiers are the birds, the ship, and the scythe. I think that moving forward, this is gossip and innuendo, will continue, move forward, and the gossip and innuendo will be really harmful to 47. There are things we don't know about the occupant of this White House that will be, I don't know, They could be leaked out. Do you remember when it was the eve of the inauguration, I think, and Russian TV, so this was official government sponsored Russian TV, had pictures on their screens of our First Lady in her birthday suit. Why would you do that? I think it was a warning. We have these pictures, but we've got other stuff too. And you don't even know what we've got on you, 47. He doesn't even know. And I think things could be um, dribbled and dragged out by someone really smart and canny. And I think that's Putin. Um, Finally, we have this older woman card, stork, ring, and mountain. Hmm. I mean, this could stand for Melania moving on to greener pastures because the stork is about positive change and the marriage being just sort of not a thing, like I won't divorce you, but I won't be with you either, which is kind of what she's doing now, right? Uh, I think there's information that 47 would not want out. I don't even think he knows the nature of it completely, but I think it's salacious, shocking, and would, I'm going to say, as much as somebody losing their job or having their spouse deported, I think whatever this revelation is would be that incendiary and that likely to cause the base to turn on him. So we will see, right? We will see. All right. Well, that was an interesting read for a Tuesday evening. Tomorrow, look for my Substack if you want to see my writing. I don't know what I'm going to write about tomorrow because I never know until I pull a tarot card. But go to substack.com, look for my name or look for In the Company of Cards because it's got the same name as this channel. And you can find my latest article. I love it if you would subscribe over there. It doesn't cost anything. Do be sure that you're still subscribed to me here because I know people are being sort of kicked off and then they have to come back in and I don't know, it's the algorithmic thing that I am not privy to. But anyway, thank you for hanging in there with me and I will see you very soon. Take care.